Everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Just nice to be here with you today. I hope your day will just be filled with love and kindness and goodness, and that you find your fulfillment and your happiness in being in these qualities. Just a couple of announcements before we begin today. If you're available, I certainly welcome you to join us this evening from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We'll be doing Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth. Just go to our website, click on Study Groups, and scroll down to the second Sunday of the month, and you'll see our Zoom classroom right there. Click on it, and it'll take you in. Our passcode is 0118. And one last comment. I've been encouraging everyone to set as a quarterly intention the healing of our country. And it seems like we're moving more and more in that direction. Again, I encourage you to send your loving energy to people in public office, especially those in public health. These are very difficult times. Sending our loving energy into the ethers is so very helpful to those who must put these things into practice. Having said that, let me just say that it continues to be a great joy to greet you in this weekly teaching. The joy comes from you. The joy comes from you. I believe that you are stepping up. You are showing up, willing to extend your goodness and creativity in so many beautiful expressions of light and love. You are a joy to behold. And your present joy is only a foretaste, an appetizer of what is to come. May we continue to inspire and support each other, allowing ourselves to express this wonderful beauty that resides within each one of us, the love of the Creator itself. Before introducing today's teaching, let me acknowledge these several comments that many of you made from last week's teaching. I was most appreciative of them. You recall that last week's teaching was that the most important thing that any of us can do in life is to be in daily contact, all the time contact, with the God Spirit, the God Presence that is within us. That each day we live in this conscious awareness of the God Presence. After explaining the importance of this presence, I then went on to explain the importance of our daily spiritual practice, which enables us to sustain this all-the-time presence. This all-the-time presence is a work in progress, but it is in progress. So many of you responded very positively to this teaching and asked that I might say a little bit more about maintaining this conscious, daily presence of the God Spirit. I am happy to do so, especially expressed in this week's teaching entitled, What Stops You? What stops you from becoming this conscious presence each moment of the day of the God Spirit? What I would like to do is to present this teaching in the format of a book recommendation, noting two particular teachings from the book, and then developing this teaching with additional insights. Let's begin. The book recommendation is a wonderful presentation by Isabel Wilkerson. The book is entitled Cast. The subtitle is The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. In the book itself, there are three particular caste systems that she presents. The first one is one that you'll be very familiar with. It was the caste system in India. I say that it was the caste system in India because even though it is outlawed, it is still very much rampant within the people of India. The second is the caste system here in America, especially between white supremacists and all other minority groups. This American caste system, although outlawed by the civil rights legislation of the 1960s, is still one, unfortunately, that we have seen so much of lately. It continues to be expressed vehemently and often violently in American society. In relation to this conflict among the races, Wilkerson really raises a very interesting point. She talks about the timeline of 2042. The timeline of 2042. I'll let you read the book to understand why that year, 2042, is so significant. And then the author presented her third historical caste system, the relationship between Nazi Germany and the Jewish people. Isabel's insights on how these three systems are related, are very striking and quite sobering. But I'll let you judge for yourself if you decide to read the book. What I most now want to share with you today are two teachings from the book which are relatable, I think, to everyone, and then provide some additional insights from our spiritual teachings. First, let's consider the two teachings that she presents in the book. Wilkerson's first teaching, which struck me, was the following: the human impulse to create hierarchies. Let me repeat this. The human impulse to create hierarchies. A hierarchy, as you know, is to assign certain levels of importance, certain tiers of importance. While this is clearly seen in racial and social systems such as America, India, and Nazi Germany, what I am most concerned about today is how it filters down, perhaps maybe to you, in your everyday living. The way that I see it is that hierarchy often has an effect that so often affects us because we have a tendency to see ourselves comparatively. We so often compare ourselves to others. While seeing ourselves comparatively is easily seen in the phrase keeping up with the Joneses, it is also quite apparent and quite insidious in how each one of us has a tendency to see ourselves comparatively. It is sometimes very unconscious, but still very, very hurtful when we see ourselves in comparison to others. We say things such as, well, that person is smarter than me. That person is more successful than me. That person is prettier than me, or more handsome than me. They're richer than I am. They're happier than I am. The list goes on and on and on, but a few things become quite apparent. First of all, some people delight in seemingly being better, whether it's by skin color or social standing, especially when you're a part of the dominant group and not a part of the minority. Secondly, some people never get beyond living by comparing, even when it takes the form of, well, I'm not as good as some people, but at least I'm better than those other people. We compare because, as odd as it may sound, sometimes it makes us feel better. Not when we're being compared to someone higher, but at least compared to those that are lower. Thirdly, while we know that comparing is not healthy, it's very difficult. It's just very difficult to stop it because society itself seems to be based on comparing or competing. The smartest student, the valedictorian, the spelling bee champ, the best athlete, the most likely to succeed. Is there no end to comparing? Well, of course there is, but we'll focus on that after we focus on Wilkerson's second basic teaching. The first was comparing. Her second teaching is how easy it is to be a captive of your conditioning. I'll say it again. How easy it is to be a captive of your conditioning. Conditioning comes from many sources, but there are 4 prominent ones that affect everyone on the planet. The first conditioning obviously comes from our families. We are not just born into a family, but we are also raised within a family, and all of us are raised in a family setting, or a lack thereof, especially through our formative years. Our formative years are so affected by the family situation in which we are raised. Certainly most of our family conditioning is very loving and kind, but it is sometimes still conditioning. And sometimes it's not so helpful. As so many people say that, well, I was raised in a dysfunctional family. Especially a dysfunctional family in which children, they are seen, but they are certainly not heard. The second conditioner is the immediate society in which each one of us is raised. This is so apparent. Social standards and social values clearly present a hierarchy of values, from education, housing, job opportunity, and general positions of authority, from the proverbial notion of I want to be a lawyer or a doctor, to politicians and public officials. In society, in general, power over others becomes an acceptable norm, especially as we have seen in the area of politics. It's a problem. The third conditioner is religion. Not only does religion influence your personal beliefs, but it also influences how we view other religions. Such a view of other religions, especially when there is intolerance and or suspect practices, makes you wonder if any religion is really true and wholesome. Again, within a religion, much good is done, but often there are so many limitations, especially for women, and not every LGBT person is graciously received. Lastly, there is the nationalism race conditioning. While this fourth conditioner is readily visible in society, it is also a present factor, especially in international politics. Obviously, there has been a rise in nationalism around the world. It's a problem. And with it, a sense of exclusion of others. My country is better than your country. Make this country superior to another country. I certainly do not want to minimize the practical considerations of moving to globalism. But it certainly seems quite clear to me that communication systems, transportation, and economic conditions are much more global in nature. We are much more interconnected. I believe that this interconnectedness, this globalism, this oneness, it is indeed the wave of the future. Well, is there any solution to seeing ourselves comparatively? Any solution to moving beyond our conditioning? To these things, I would like to offer the following steps. Yes, of course there is. And let's, of course, begin with you. Regardless of what you think about the world in general, regardless of what you think about others, and regardless of how you have seen yourself heretofore, let me offer you these following 4 insights to overcome comparing and conditioning, because these are the things that often stop us from allowing the God Spirit to come forth. I hope you'll appreciate and enjoy these. First, comparing, whether it's the family, society, religion, or nationality, deals with the outer you. Comparing deals with the worldly you. It deals with that physical part of you that is in the world. Thus, you must decide on how you will see yourself in the world. You must decide on how you will see yourself in the world. Will you simply see yourself only as a physical body in the world, as an outer personality, which will be quite susceptible to comparing and conditioning? Or will you be willing to see yourself differently? This is a big step. How you see yourself. Will you see yourself differently? Let me suggest, secondly, the difference. You now have the choice of seeing yourself differently now. At one time, you too might have been very absorbed in the world and have seen yourself very much by way of comparing and conditioning. But now you know better. You know better because your sense of self is less of the world. You now know yourself as the inner you. Let me just say it again. At one time, we were all so susceptible to comparing and conditioning. But now we know better. We know that the sense of self that we have acquired is not a body in the world, but rather we have come to know the inner us. While you certainly have a body and you are living in the world, the body and your worldly situations, the body and the worldly situations no longer define you. They are no longer how you are experiencing yourself. More and more, you are experiencing yourself as a conscious spiritual being who has a body and is in the world, that your body and worldly conditionings are no longer in competition with others, but rather your body and your worldly situation are now opportunities to create beautifully and kindly from your soul self. You have made the shift. You have turned inward with a different identity. I believe I can honestly say to you that your soul self has become you. You see things from the inside out. You see things from the God Spirit within. Your body is seen simply as the transportation vehicle of the soul. Your body is what gets you around from here to there, but your body is not you. And because your body is not you, you have been able to stop comparing it to the worldly self of others. Is this not true? Because your body is not how you see yourself anymore. You've been able to stop comparing your body and your worldly situation with others. Kudos to you. You've changed how you see yourself. You have become the soul, the inner you, no longer deceived by false comparisons and conditioning. Thirdly, as you have shifted to consciously knowing yourself from the inner you, from your soul self, from your God Spirit, have you not noticed how much happier you are? Have you not noticed how less anxious you feel? How you are more settled in life situations? And I would go so far as to say, have you not noticed that life is easier for you? You are moving through life with more ease because you are not comparing. You are no longer being conditioned because you have become attuned to the inner you. This is the most genuine and authentic that you've ever been in your life. Doesn't it feel good? Fourth and lastly, do you not see how much better you are for others? And how you are attracting more and more others in the same spirit and in the same mindset that you yourself have. Of all of the things that the members of Now Creations have said in all of our meetings, the following is the most repeated comment, and the one that I treasure most just hearing. The comment is, "This is the happiest that I have ever been in my life." There was a time when I would ask people, "How are you doing?" And they would say, "Well, this is the calmest I've ever been in my life." But now the calm has moved to, "This is the happiest that I've ever been in my life." I can only suggest that your happiness is the result of not creating hierarchies and conditioning. These things are the things that stop you comparing, being conditioned, but rather being conscious of your soul, self-creating from the inside out, in connection with the God Spirit, is becoming more and more your all-the-time sense of self in the world. It is a work in process. It is a work in progress. But there is progress in the process. In conclusion, what stops you in life oftentimes is simply seeing yourself as a body in the world and then comparing yourself and allowing conditioning to have too much of an impact upon you. The antidote, the release, is learning to see yourself as a conscious soul, joyfully living from the inside out, connected to the God Spirit in our conscious, everyday living. This is what we're doing. This is the beauty of life. Let us continue to assist each other. And what a joy it is to do so. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let's begin as we normally do by simply focusing on the breath, just allowing the breath to settle us, allowing the breath to fill our bodies, relaxing, allowing our minds to empty, and bringing our souls to the fore. Please begin. In our meditation today, I would like to take a moment to look to the past, then to the present, and of course into the future. Let us begin just a little with the past. Do you remember the times in the past when you were quite conditioned and saw yourself so comparatively? Perhaps there may be a time of sibling rivalry in the past, where you tried to be like and even better than brothers, sisters, cousins, family members. Or do you remember those times in your teenage years? Oh my gosh, how we lived by comparing. How we lived by comparing. She's prettier. He's nicer. She's smarter. He's a better athlete. Whenever we compared, we always seemed to lose. Remember those times? But even also when we went into our 20s and 30s and 40s, how comparing and conditioning were so heavy upon us. To have that certain job, to be in the best family relationship, to have your kids better than other people's kids, to have a little more money, live in a better neighborhood. Just so many things were results of comparing and conditioning. Just important for us to note those things. Not that we're locked into them, but to note that, well, you know, that's the way I was. Unconsciously, but nevertheless, the way it was. But then, something changed. Perhaps it was in your 30s, or 40s, or 50s, or 60s, where you just realized that living by conditioning and comparing, just ran out of gas. There was something deeper, much more important than simply seeing yourself as a body in the world. Slowly but surely, you began to make the shift into an inner presence. Something within you began to become more important. Perhaps you recall an instant or a series of incidents where that occurred, that something within you began to change, and you had a desire to be more genuine, to be more authentic, to be more inward, to listen to yourself. Take a moment to recall some of those times. And during the past 10 or 12 or 20 years, you have made considerable progress. You have come to identify the inner you. We normally call it the soul. It's that conscious part of you that you know is you. And then something even greater happened. You began to honestly, sincerely, you began to realize your connection to the God Spirit. That the God Spirit in you, your connection to the God Spirit, was not only now conscious, but your connection to the God Spirit was more you than you. It was one thing to find the inner you as opposed to the outer you, but quite another to find the God in you, which now seems to be more you than you. Please focus on that. coming to know who you are in your connection with the divine. You are in the most wonderful, wonderful place to look to your future. You will be consciously creating your future based on the situations of your personal life. But may I suggest some of the qualities that will be the energy with which you create. Without a doubt, you will be the most kind and loving person you've ever been. This kindness and love is something that is generating from within you in your connection to the divine. It's not just that you love those that love you back or love those in your family, but there's a universal love for everyone, but especially for the people that you come in contact with. That you will be the God presence happily, that you will just love them and be as kind and as gentle to them as possible, because gentleness and kindness are now you. They are what you have become. Secondly, you will be smarter, more intelligent, not to be duped anymore, nor to be a doormat, because you will see clearly what is going on and you will respond appropriately. You will move forward from inner wisdom that sees clearly and responds appropriately. You will do this. And may I suggest to you that this oneness, this wisdom of yours, will be beyond nationalism, but it's also going to be beyond globalism. It will be cosmic. It will be cosmic. Not just heaven to earth, but heaven, wherever. Cosmic. Oh, and did I say happier, more joyful than ever?
Deep within, peace resides, faith abounds, and love abides. The light shines bright to love without, love within. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor
You can't help but have the inner smile. May you live from the beauty of the inner smile today and tomorrow. The all-the-time presence. Namaste.